Welcome back, trainer. So we're going to be taking a look at a Chansey raid in sunny weather using one Charizard with Fire Spin and Blast Burn. Obviously, that's going to be a Community Day move, and it's going to be in the shiny variants black. So I did only evolve one of those on Community Day for the Charizard. Unfortunately, in the shiny variants, I have several other normal color ones. Not that the shinies really matter, but just look at Charizard. I mean, that is one radical looking variance other than just like a sun bleach looking color from their original. So anyways, we're going to see how difficult this is. It's not hard really, guys. It does have Hyper Beam and Pound, and I will be dodging all of the Hyper Beams, of course. Otherwise, I don't think it would have survived. Actually, no, it wouldn't have. So that's what these Chansey raids are going to be good for now. They're pretty fun. They're not difficult, right? And it's going to allow you to use all kinds of different Pokemon. And the challenge is to just use one Pokemon. So yes, of course, I'm getting the Weather Boost. I don't think it can do it without it, honestly. It's not a matter of running out of time, it's just a matter of how long can the Charizard survive going up against that Blissey there. So I think this is going to be one of the easier ones, probably going to be Pound and then Psychic, as a matter of fact, because it's going to be taking neutral damage from both of those. Hyper Beam is still doing not that much, but when you dodge, it still hurts you a little bit, chipping away slowly but surely. And I certainly wasn't going to dodge all of the Pounds. I mean, could do that, but I don't know. It wasn't necessary. Plus, once you're taking those quick move hits, it's actually gaining your energy for your blast burn a lot quicker as well. So yeah, let's continue on here. And then after this, we're going to look at a Deoxys raid. Very underwhelming. It was in this park where you can't really like park or anything like that. So it's pretty chilly out today. And don't really feel like being in the cold, as a matter of fact. And so I was just standing there waiting to get into the lobby. And I just used Weavile's Tyranitar, Honchkrow, nothing special. When I go up against that Deoxys raid, just take note it was extremely sloppy. I wasn't trying to do anything impressive whatsoever, although backing out twice and re-entering is quite amazing to still be able to solo an EX raid. So yeah, I went in there after all my Pokemon fainted with the recommended, and that was going to be Tyranitar with Smackdown and Stone Edge, and it wasn't doing much damage, so I backed out yet again, revived my fainted Pokemon, then hopped back in and was still able to take it out. And then I caught it with one Pineapple and Premier Ball. Simple as that. First throw. Anyways, let's go on to talk about Giratina here, because we're going to have a problem on the horizon here. Yeah, for sure. I think you already know what I'm talking about. And that's going to be that ominous wind that's going to increase its attack and defense. So this thing was already problematic. I have my ways of dealing with it in PvP, but if you're not prepared, it's probably going to destroy you. Not necessarily destroy you, kind of just wall you and just chip away while you're not doing very effective damage or very little damage, because this thing is just a beast like that. So if you're not aware, we are going to be getting moves that do buff your attack and defense in PvP, and those moves are going to be Ancient Power, Ominous Wind, and Silver Wind. So this right here does in fact hold that move, Ominous Wind. So we're already looking at a problem in PvP, which is this Pokemon. They tried to nullify and hold back dragons with all those buffs to other Pokemon's moves and giving them a better move pool to counter these. But guess what? This thing just got a whole lot nastier coming soon. So they said they're going to be bringing that out this Saturday. Quite excited to see that. I'm a little bit hoping that our tournament is going to happen before they make those changes, although they usually do those around noon. So the tournament's going to be happening around 3 o'clock. So we'll just have to wait and see, guys. This is going to be all kinds of wacky, right? People are going to be going in there with these new movesets, probably in hope of getting that attack buff and defense buff, and who knows how well it's actually going to perform, because we don't know the actual numbers on what it's going to buff and how much it's going to buff, I should say, because it's still quite a mystery. It could be very minuscule. It could be very OP, really, right? And then you're just going to sit there with this Giratina, obviously not in the Twilight Cup, but if you were to battle somebody in the Master League. So anyways, take note of that. Problem on the horizon, this Giratina, people are going to be using it quite often with that Ominous Wind to raise their attack. Now, another question came up here, and I kind of went over this briefly in my last video, and that was, well, you're going to get those stat buffs if you just simply have the move. When you throw the Pokemon into battle, you're going to get those buffs. That is... I don't think so. I absolutely don't think that's how it's going to work. That makes no sense. In the main series games, you don't throw a Pokemon out just because it has that move and it's just going to get those buffs. You actually have to activate it by using that move. So I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to work. They're not just going to make these Pokemon that carry these moves extremely strong just for the heck of it. That doesn't even sound fun, to be honest with you. So fingers crossed that that's not the route they go down, because if they do, it'd be completely ridiculous. So just to clear up there on that, I mean, I'm not, saying, oh, that's exactly it, but let's use logic here. I'm pretty sure we're going to have to use the move in order to get that increase in attack and defense. Let's go ahead and take a look at Mamoswine here, because we have that community day coming up, and there should be a lot of questions asked as to, okay, Mamoswine with Ancient Power. Now what do we do? Do we actually want to have this as opposed to having the ice and ground for our charge moves? Well, I'm thinking you're going to want to cross out that ground move just for now. If you're somebody who likes to go into PvP, if you're using this for raids or gym battles, for instance, these power buffs are not going to actually happen there. This is only going to be for player versus player, okay? So let's take a look at the stats here. Max EP 3,328, attack 247. So it will be raising its attack and defense stat if that Ancient Power is activated for the buffs. Because as of now, it said you have a chance in the wording. So it didn't say specifically when you use it, it will happen, a chance. So like I went over yet again in my last video, I said it might happen on your first move, second, or third if you're still in battle at that point and have enough health to survive. And if the buffs take place when you have like a sliver of health left, it's not going to matter anymore unless these buffs are extremely OP and actually hard to activate. So we'll just have to see how that works, because you can go into battle, use these moves three or four times, I guess, if you survive that long, using shields and hope to try to make them happen, and it just simply doesn't, because it's maybe going to be a rare occurrence. In which case, I would not have a problem with that, because I can see it not necessarily being abused, because if it's in the game, then it's there, right? I've always had this saying that people say, this one time, let me give you an example. I was in an arcade in Arizona, and these two guys were playing Marvel vs. Capcom. One of the guys was using Cable on his team. You can pick 3 characters, right? And he kept using his ray gun and just, long range attacking him. Eventually, the guy got upset and was like, what are you doing? Is that all you're going to do? On one hand, yeah, you're not really using that character for its true potential or whatever, but if it's in the game, it's in the game. If you can't counter what that person is doing to you, then maybe you're not as skilled, because he really went off on him. Basically, what I'm trying to say is here, if somebody uses a full team of these and continuously buffs their attacks, then hey, hopefully Niantic has some sort of implementation on there that's not going to allow it to be stacked, because that would kind of be a little bit OP for sure. It may not be what you're used to going up against somebody who's extremely skillful and doing all kinds of crazy combinations on you and combos and destroying you that way. But if somebody comes at you and just does a couple moves, just high kick, low kick, and you're going to call them cheap, I mean, it's within the game. So that's pretty much what I'm saying. If somebody wants to go in there with all these moves, and there's going to be Pokemon when this first releases that are going to have both Ominous Wind and Silver Wind, so in which case that's going to be crazy, right? As well as Yanma is going to have Ancient Power and Silver Wind as well, so it can get buffed like that. It's going to be probably a pretty good Great League Pokemon until they release others. This is just the first step. You must understand that this is just the first step. They're going to release more moves that are going to be buffing our attack. And see, it's attack and defense, because what is speed? I feel like they can't implement speed, and what it's going to be is just making your Pokemon move faster or possibly gaining energy quicker, in which case speed is going to be very good, as it should be, because in the main series games it's very important. If you have somebody, or if you have a Pokemon that's very fast and fragile, it needs that speed so it can go first. But in Pokemon Go, it's a whole nother mechanic. There's no turn base, and it's just go. But if speed was implemented as like moving faster for your quick move or charging energy quicker, that could work as well. We probably will see something like that along the lines if they're trying to make PvP as dynamic as they're going in the direction right now. Because Niantic, thank you once again. I just want to say what an amazing move this was. And you guys probably had this plan for a long time, sitting back laughing while everybody's calling PvP just tap, tap, tap. You're like, okay, we got you. In about 5 years, there's going to be several different features added into PvP, making it a whole lot different than what it is now. You first have to make the cake, you just have a plain cake. And then over time, as you're making it, you're going to put on more layers, frosting, and things like that. And once it's done, it's going to look like a beautiful cake. And that's what PvP is going to be when it's finished, I'm assuming here, right? So moving along with Mamoswine here, let's go ahead and take a look at its moves so you can have a good understanding. So if you're somebody who plays in PvP and you're trying to get good Mamoswines, what I recommend you to do is probably make 3 of them for each league with Ancient Power, period. You don't have to purchase your secondary move right now. Just, you know, make 3 of them have Ancient Power, because it's not going to be there after the community day. So you're going to want that because of the new attack and defense buff. Once you have that basis, you'll be okay. You can figure out what you want to do later on. For your secondary move, I'm going to highly recommend possibly Avalanche, okay? That's just a massively strong attack. You're going to get stabbed. And as far as the quick moves, you don't really need to worry about that. You do your thing, whatever you need to do. Powdered Snow is probably going to be the better option, but hey, who knows? You also have Bulldoze and Stone Edge. Stone Edge is a very low energy cost for PvP, charges pretty quick, and it hits hard as well. Bulldoze, nice ground move. You're going to get stabbed there as well. 2 charge bar, and doesn't take much energy. So Ancient Power is going to serve Mamoswine very well. It's going to become extremely OP, yeah, for sure. But it's okay, because there's going to be Pokemon out there that you can counter it and do just fine. We'll see, because if Mamoswine gets 2 buffs in battle, if you're able to do that, maybe it's probably only going to happen once, maybe not stacked. But in which case, if it does get that buff, look out, guys. All right, so there you have Mamoswine. Just a little discussion on that. Thought you'd want to hear that. So let's take it back when I was talking about if it's in the game, then it's not going to be cheap. That's not entirely true for Pokemon Go. I mean, you can use some combinations of Pokemon that are just a little bit OP, but hey, we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. And I'll be catching you all later, and hopefully have more news regarding these attack and defense buffs. Take care.